Well, hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Uh, I don't know who thought it was a good idea to do a webinar on the last week of school, but here we are. So
Wasn't me.
I I just like making things extra complicated for myself. Yeah, my kids are officially off the bus, out of school, and it's summer in this household. So one step closer to our big trip. Okay, hello, everyone. Welcome. You're also punctual. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited for our second webinar here today. What I'm going to do, um, I'm going to ask everybody just to make sure everyone, again, knows how the chat works, how to find it. It looks like the majority of you are um, on a computer, but in case you're on your phone, if you need to find the chat, why don't you just pop in the chat really quick what you're going to do this Memorial Day weekend. If you're going to see grandchildren, if you're going to go grill out, if you're going to stay home, do nothing, if you are retired, if you are retired military, if you do something special. I just want to make sure everyone is aware of the chat and how it works. And yeah, raining. Our forecast says rain for the next 10 days. We have gone from a drought here in Tennessee to a lot of rain. So, ooh, Universal. I was just there in March. Love Universal. Okay. All right, everybody. So it's 1:02. We're going to get started. A reminder now, when I am in presentation mode, I am not able to see the chat. So during the presentation, if you do have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat or keep them in your brain so that you can ask during the Q&A session that's planned at the end. But I will not be able to see it during the chat. I am not ignoring you. You are all loved, but I just can't see it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And now I'm going to open presenter mode. That's not what I want. There we go. Here we go. And I'm gonna, okay. Welcome everyone. This is webinar number 2 out of 4, preparing to go. We're gonna talk about money, technology, and safety today. So our overview for today is using your phone overseas, currency, tipping, credit cards, more money, safety tips, a few cultural tips, and then we'll have a section for questions. So kicking it right off. Technology, everyone's favorite subject. So I get a lot of questions with what I do is, how do I use my phone overseas? Do I need to order a SIM card? How do I do this? The most basic answer is most major phone carriers now have an international day pass. So it's as simple as getting online or calling and making sure that that is available to you. And then typically it's about $12 a day, and it starts immediately when you land in that foreign country. So that's what I do. And as soon as I land, I have access to all my data. I can make phone calls, I can make text messages, everything from email to posting on social media to FaceTime. I can do all of that through my international day pass. So that is what I recommend. It's the easiest thing to do. The Wi-Fi on the ship is very good. So while we're on the ship, I typically turn off my data and I can still post on the internet, FaceTime my family, text message, surf on the internet, watch my shows, anything like that while we are on board. But I do recommend having some kind of way to connect with the internet on your phone while we are traveling when we're not on the ship. One, so that you can keep in communication with me and with Avalon in case you need to find us, or there was an issue with your traveling and you arrived a little later, or whatever happened. But also, so you have access to maps. You can see if you, before you walk a few hundred yards, to see if a shop is open, anything like that. You'll be surprised how much you use your phone to look up things while we're there, including converting currency. So that's what I recommend. Just reach out to your phone carrier and make sure that that is in your bundle already. The International Day Pass is what it's called. Another thing that I recommend doing before you leave home is download or take screenshots of important information. You are all going to receive a full itinerary from me. My goal is to get that to everyone in the next 2 weeks. And in each itinerary, it's going to be specific to your travel details, your flights, your pre or post specific information, your insurance details, anything like that. And it's good to be able to access that information in your itinerary, but in case you do lose internet, or you have trouble finding it when you are traveling because of stress or whatever it might be, confusion, whatever, having just a screenshot of the ship's docking location or your insurance information, the emergency phone line to call, having that in your phone's photos is really, really helpful. So that's one thing that I also recommend doing before you leave. The emergency number in Europe, instead of 911, it's 112. This will be in your itinerary as well. It's just a nice, helpful thing to know in case you need to call the emergency services for anything. And instructions on how to call out will also be in your itinerary. So it's not as simple as picking up your phone and hitting your contact's name. You will have to dial the number and use a calling out code and then our country code. But I'll have all of that information in there for you. So you should be able to contact anyone that you need while we're traveling. Some other technology tips. I really recommend downloading your airline's app. The app for United, American, Delta, British Airways, we've got a few people on like KLM. Those apps are all a little different, but in general, it's one of the best ways to get up-to-date information about your flight. Many times I've been sitting at the gate and I get a notification on my phone through the app that my gate's changed, my flight's delayed, whatever it is, before they actually get on the intercom and tell the room. And so it's a really great way to keep up to date with your flight information. If you do check bags, most of them have bag tracking, so you can track your bags. And they also have emergency phone lines and chat systems inside the apps. So it's a really great tool to have while you're traveling. If you haven't already, the Avalon app, Avalon Go, you'll be using that every day while we're traveling. I like using Google Translate. It is helpful. It really is. So especially when we're in, Hungary, in Budapest, or Slovakia, or somewhere like that. Most of the time in major cities, people generally speak a little English, but sometimes in these smaller cities along the river, it's just a really helpful thing to go ahead and have. Downloading any books, shows, music, movies that you plan to enjoy on the airplane, in the airport, go ahead and download those before you leave home. It's really, really hard to watch a show on data all the time or watch a movie. So, and it has happened to me where, yes, these airlines have the individual screens in front of you so you can watch a movie on your transatlantic flights. But it has happened to me where I sat down in the seat that the TV screen didn't work and there was not another seat for me to move to. So if I had not had my show downloaded, I would have had nothing to do for 7 hours. But think about all of my life choices, and I did not want to do that. So download those things before you leave home, and then you'll have it with you no matter where you are. We're going to talk about low battery mode. I'm going to write this down because I'm going to come back to it in just a minute when I can see myself and see the screen. But I'm going to show you how to put your phone in low battery mode. What that means is essentially at all times, your phone is running in the background. They're running apps, updating things, updating your social media, your news, all of those things. They're constantly running on your phone at all times. So if you're one of those people where you're like, my battery just goes down so fast, low battery mode is something I always do when I'm traveling. I turn it on because when I'm traveling, I don't need my email to update every 3 minutes. I don't need all of that stuff notifying me. And so essentially low battery mode makes it so apps only are running when you are using them. And it really, really saves your battery. So I'll show you how to put that on your phone. The other thing I want you to know is that you can charge your phone on the majority of the flights. However, they take the USB-C ports. And if you have an older iPhone, you might have a lightning cord. If you have a lightning cord, those are not on the planes. Okay, so I have one right here. Can everyone see me? I know you can see my screen, but can you see me as well?
Depending on the view mode, Lizzie, people should be able to see your picture as well.
Okay, well, I'll do this at the end as well, but right now I'm holding up a newer cord, this is the USB-C light, not the lightning, I want to say lightning lane because I'm also in Disney World mode with Memorial Day, not the lightning cord. I know I'm going through that really quickly. I'm going to come back to it at the end of the presentation. But essentially, that is the way that you can charge your phone when you're on the plane. These are long travel days. It is not going to be good enough to just charge your phone when you're sleeping that night and then go to the airport. You're going to need to charge your phone before you land in Europe, especially if you're using it to watch shows or whatever, play a game while you're on the plane. One of the easiest things to do if you're worried about your cord not working if all of this is making your anxiety going up, the easiest thing to do is to purchase a portable charger and carry it with you so that at any time you can pull that portable charger out, plug it into your phone, and you can get instant battery. So I do have a portable charger that I recommend. I'm going to put that in the chat here in a little bit as well. And then you don't have to worry about finding a place to plug in your phone. It's already done. You know that you have that backup. One other thing I want you all to be aware of is safety if you're using public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi would be in the airport, in a cafe, anywhere. If you are in anywhere that a palace, a museum, anything like that has Wi-Fi, those are spaces that you should not ever be putting your credit card information in. So when you're using public Wi-Fi, just be really mindful that you're not, I don't know, like don't text somebody your social security number or something like that. Just any sensitive information you should not be communicating over public Wi-Fi, especially in a crowded area. That is unfortunately a common way that you can get identity theft or scammed while traveling. Okay, let's move on to money. A lot more fun to talk about, right? Okay. Money. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is the different currencies while we're traveling. There's essentially just two. In Hungary, so while we're in Budapest, the Hungarian currency is the forint. The dollar is much stronger than the forint. So, I don't know if any of you have gotten online yet and looked at restaurant menus or pricing for individual things. It can look really expensive, but it's not. So one of the tools that I like to recommend to people is just xe.com. It's an up-to-date, daily updated currency exchange website. And you can get on there and see the value of the dollar compared to the forint, the euro, if you're going to be in the United Kingdom at all, in England or Scotland or anything, the British pound. So that is a really great tool to use when you're trying to figure out how much money, cash money, to bring. This is always kind of a personal choice of how much cash to bring because it depends on your shopping and your spending habits. I recommend ordering money in advance from your local bank and going and picking it up and having it with you when you get on the plane. It is the most convenient, peace of mind task that you can get done. I know a lot of people like to get off the plane and go to an ATM, but I am so jet lagged that sometimes I don't want to have to think about currency exchange and do math in my head when I land somewhere and it's 8 a.m., but it's really, 4 a.m. back home. So for me, I just like going to my local bank. Typically, it's a flat fee at your bank. Like I know mine, I think it's a $15 fee, no matter how much I take out. So depending on how much you get, that can either be really good or it could be not so good. It kind of is up to you. But yes, that's what I do. I go to my bank and I say, I want $300 worth of euros. And then I always ask for small bills. The smaller the bills they can give you, the better. So I personally, I try to use my credit card when I travel. It is the safest way to use money when you travel. But there are situations, street art, ordering small drinks, tipping, you're gonna need cash. So I recommend $300 worth of each currency. So because we are spending so much time in Budapest, that is going to be a place where you may wish to have it. Budapest is a city that it's not totally cashless. There are some places that, having cash might be really preferred, where when you're in a cafe or getting a coffee, something like that. Euros are going to be accepted everywhere else while we're on the Danube. So I like the idea of having a little bit in the forint and most of it in the euro. So you can split it 300 in forint, 300 in euro, or you can get 100 in forint and 300 or 400 in euro. It really kind of depends on your spending. And I'll give you a better concept of how much I like to spend. So I'm not a huge spender in general, honestly. When I travel, I collect Christmas ornaments and mugs and art. Those are the three things. When I was in Paris last summer, we spent, I think it was 200 euro on a piece of art that it was a watercolor in Montmartre, totally worth it. It was everything you want it to be when you're in Paris. It was a local artist. They were smoking while counting the money. It was magical, but that was the kind of the most I've spent on one item. There are going to be places where you are going to probably spend more. The luxury Christmas shop in Budapest that accepts credit cards. I have asked about the Christmas vendors who are going to be on board, selling their crafts. I have specifically asked, do we need cash for that, or are cards going to be accepted? and I am waiting on an answer. So when I have an answer on that, I will communicate with everyone the best course of action on how much cash we all really need. I'm also going to ask, do we want that to be euro or something else? It's probably going to be euro, but I'm just going to clarify with everybody. The ship can break larger bills. So if you do go to an ATM and you get, let's say 200 euro out, and it's 250s and, and one 100 bill, the ship can make it smaller for you if you need that. If you use an ATM, please make sure it is a bank ATM. There are a lot of places when you land in Europe where an ATM is right there when you get into baggage claim or on the other side of baggage claim. You want to make sure it says bank on it. If it doesn't, that means it is a third-party company that is going to charge you really high rates, where the banks are monitored a little more by legislation on how much they can charge, where the third-party companies are not. So if you use an ATM at all, try to make sure it is a bank ATM. Otherwise, you're going to be paying more. They're not scams. I mean, they're real. They're not going to steal your identity or anything. They're scams in the sense they charge you higher interest, but they're not. It's not going to be dangerous. It just means you're going to pay more.
Lizzie, before you leave this, there's a couple of questions that you said you can't see. So one was, do we have to have the currency, or do we need the currency in advance, which I think you answered. Someone asked how readily accepted various credit cards are, that you would check on that. And then also I just checked if you're doing after cruise in Prague, that's a separate currency as well.
Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that as well. Yes. So in Prague, I meant to include that. You're going to want to have a little bit of cash for that. You're not going to need a ton because you're only there for 2 nights, and Avalon is taking care of the transportation from the ship into Prague. But again, small bills are really, really helpful, but for the most part, Prague is very card friendly. MasterCard and Visa are internationally, like they're just going to work everywhere. American Express works a lot of places, but not necessarily everywhere. I will clarify, especially with the Christmas shop and the vendors, if they say, yeah, cards are fine, I will clarify about American Express. Discover is one that's very hit and miss as well. So kind of if you have a Visa or a MasterCard, those are the king cards. American Express is a little bit below that. Discover is below that. So let me know if that's an issue for anybody and we can talk more. The other thing I want to say is debit cards, because I know that some people, listen, I'm south of Nashville. Dave Ramsey is literally 10 minutes up the road from me. I'm in the world of Ramsey. I've had a lot of clients say, well, we don't have credit cards. And so it's not impossible, but I will tell you, you have to communicate to your bank. Like, don't even call. Walk into your bank and speak to someone and say, I want to use my debit card while I'm traveling. What do I need to do? I did an experiment. I was in Luxembourg last summer, and I went to a bank ATM, and I thought, I just want to know what happens when I put my debit card in. And I put my debit card in, and it asked for my PIN, gave it my PIN, and it immediately canceled the transaction. And I was like, well, that's really interesting. So then we went to France, and I used my debit card for something, and it did not work. Of course, I had not communicated with my bank, but if I had, then they would have been able to open that up for me. But you cannot just get off the plane with a debit card and it work in a foreign country. The other piece of that is your debit card might have a higher foreign transaction fee than a credit card might. This is getting kind of into the weeds with it. But the biggest thing is I want to make sure you have access to your funds while you're in Europe. So if you're using a debit card, talk to your bank. if you're using a credit card, you need to know your PIN number. Often, we don't know what our PIN number is for our credit cards. It's not something that you have to set up right away when they send you a card in the mail. So, if you don't know your credit card's PIN number, you will not be able to remove money from an ATM. So it's really important that you call your bank and request a PIN. Sometimes they can do it over the phone. Sometimes they can email it, but you have to ask. Their go-to is to send it to you in the mail, or at least for me, Chase, that's what they do. But the biggest thing is when you travel with your credit card, to know your PIN number. Are there any other questions about money before we keep going on? Great. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about tipping. In America, we tip a lot, we tip often. In Europe, it's very different. We want to make sure everyone is given the gratuity they deserve, but that is very different than here. And so that's a huge question that I get a lot. So first of all, while you're on the ship, your gratuities have been included in your reservation. So I don't think there's one person going who does not have gratuities added. So while we're on board, the cruise director, the wait staff, and the housekeeping staff, they're all taken care of. If you would like to give them more, that is very kind and very, very common, but it is covered already. So what about when we're not on the ship? So here's who you would like to tip and how much. So and this is for 2 people generally. So when you have a tour guide, so this gentleman at the bottom, this is actually in Derry, Northern Ireland. He is fantastic. I think he's a professor. He should be if he's not. He jokes that he is the most Irish Asian man in Ireland, but yeah, he's Filipino, but he talks like he's from Ireland because he is. Anyways, he did a great job and I gave him €4. Between €2 and €10 is kind of the window when you're in a group setting. €2 means that was really great, thanks. €10 would be the absolute tops, like you did an incredible job. So that's kind of your scale there. The airport transfer, that is not included in your gratuities. So the airport transfer is about €3 to €5, about 1,000 in the Hungarian forint, or if you want to, if you're taking a car somewhere that's not a private transfer but just a taxi, if you just want to round up, that's also very common and acceptable. When we are going on our excursions, the bus driver, it's really kind to include them as well, about €2 to €3 per person for that. Sit-down restaurants, when someone serves you at a table, about 10 to 15% is really, really good. 20% would be kind of unheard of. It's not something that the locals do. Often it's already added to the bill, especially if we're in a place with high tourism. So make sure you ask to see the check. And if you see that a gratuity has been included, then you don't need to add more. This is something that happens a lot in places like Vienna, Paris, a little bit in London, but you know, definitely in Rome, Italy, yeah, where they go ahead and throw that in, especially for tourist areas, hoping that the Americans throw in that 20% and they make a killing that day. You don't need to do all that. Just check and see if it's added on there, and if it's not, 10 to 15%. Counter service drinks, where you walk up to a counter, takeaway, is not expected and it's not customary. Okay, some things to know about your money, some best practices. We kind of went over this already, but always choose the local currency. If you are purchasing something and you put your card in, you've tapped it, or it's a chip reader, and it asks, do you want to pay, oh, I don't know, $100 US dollars or 130 euro. I know it sounds crazy, but you want to do the euro. And the reason why is because when you say that you want to pay in your home currency and not the local currency, whoever the vendor is, they get to choose what the credit card service fee is. It can be anything. So they could go ahead and do $40, which is not the same as what you would be paying. So the majority of the time, when you are paying in US dollars and not the local currency, you are not saving money, you are actually paying more. So always pay the local currency. If you are eating at a table service restaurant, they are going, and you say, I'm ready for the bill. You wave over there kindly, I'm ready for the bill. They're going to bring the card reader to the table. When people come to the United States and we give them their credit card and they leave the room, a lot of foreign travelers are like, that's crazy, they just took my money. But in Europe, they pay right there in front of you, and they have a receipt and they give it to you, and that's it. So they pay right there at the table. It is common for a lot of public toilets to cost money. Not a lot of money, but some. So again, having small bills or some coins is really smart. Public toilets tend to be cleaner because they, relatively, because they are, they're paid for. That also keeps any homeless out or any drugs out or anything like that. It's for safety as well. So it is a little bit of a pain, but it is overall their way of keeping it more efficient and more clean. So when you are out in the cities, having a few coins to be able to go to a restroom is smart. If you go into, a coffee shop, they've got a McDonald's even. It is really rude, and you might even get fussed at if you go straight to the bathroom. It is not customary to just go into a public establishment and use the restroom. You really want to purchase a coffee or something and be a customer there. That's just how it works. Having a wallet or a coin purse that zips is highly recommended because because of the coin situation again. So if you are if you're used to just a billfold, having some way to carry coins as well, you're going to want that while you are traveling and purchasing. Okay, here's me. And this is also a picture I took. We're going to talk a little bit about scams and pickpocketing. All right, so the first thing I want to say is, I don't say any of this to scare you. It's just the reality that when you're in an area that has a lot of tourism, there is a lot of scams, and that's just how it is. So you're not an idiot if you fall for any scams or anything, but there are things that you can and should do to avoid being pickpocketed. The first thing is, never put anything of value in your pockets. Gentlemen, if you're used to putting your wallet in your back pocket, even your front pocket, reconsider that for this trip. That is the quickest way to lose your money. The second thing is, don't carry open bags. What I mean by an open bag is, if you look in this picture, the lady with the red dress has her very pretty, I guess it's a Marc Jacobs. She's got a Marc Jacobs handbag on the ground, and it was completely open. If I were to pan out and show you where I am, I'm standing in front of Buckingham Palace during the changing of the guard. And this lady was right in front of me, and she put her bag down, and I took a picture. I was like, that's like, you're never supposed to do that. When you're in really crowded areas, especially, like that is pickpocketing, just like it's taking candy from a baby, right? So if you have a bag like that, that is not a good travel bag. That's a great going around town bag. That is not a good travel bag. You need bags that zip up, okay? Not just button, but zip up. So ladies, leave the Marc Jacobs, leave the Louis Vuittons at home, and get something that I am wearing, something similar to like what I'm wearing here on the tube here in London. That is the Foldy crossbody bag. That is what is in the packing list that I sent all of you. I love this bag. It's got a lot of room. I can fit my passport. I can fit an umbrella in there. I have an umbrella in that picture, in that bag. I've got lotion, I've got lip balm, I've got money, I've got my phone, and I'm hands-free. And when I'm walking through crowded areas, I just cover both of my hands like this and keep walking. Nothing in my pockets. And it's really hard to steal anything from me when I'm wearing that. When you're in crowded areas, just stay aware. Stay aware. That includes inside museums, so not just out in the streets, but just, if you have a backpack on, put it on your front and put your hands over it. I'm not against backpacks, but if you are in crowded areas, we're going to be traveling a lot as a group. There's safety in numbers and all of that. But when we do break away, if you have your backpack, just put it on your front and walk with it that way. If you're eating outside, never put your phone on the table while you're enjoying your coffee or your cafe meal. It's a really easy way for someone just to walk by or go by on a bike and take your phone. And that is a great day for them and a horrible day for you. So just don't do it. Be aware of street performers. I'm not saying all street artists and street performers are bad people. Not at all. I am saying that it is one of the ways that people get scammed or pickpocketed is there is someone performing some kind of act, and then as everyone's looking at them, the people who are working in cahoots with them are walking around, okay, and looking at all the tourists who are going, ooh, this guy over here. If anyone approaches you and says, excuse me, I have something for you, or I have a question for you, or can you take this? Just say, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you, keep walking. We don't want to be rude to people, but we also, if someone's really eager to come up to you, just be very, very on high alert and just say, no, thank you, no, thank you. I am not a very I'm not a very tall woman. I have generally a very friendly face. I have been approached while traveling, and I just don't, I'm not typically alone, but I don't stop, and I just go, no, thank you, no, thank you, and then they'll leave you alone. And while you're taking photos, if you are taking pictures, you're outside, you're at a landmark, things like that, don't put your bag down on the ground. Just stay aware while you're taking pictures too, that you are keeping your valuables safe. Any questions about that?
Yes, Lizzie, what do you recommend for guys to bring as a bag? I know you could have your crossbody. What do you recommend for us to get fanny packs or something of that nature?
Yeah, so there's 3 things you can do. The first thing that you can do is a money belt. And a money belt, I can link that in the Facebook page.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, he asked what do I recommend men wear when they're traveling? Like what kind of bag? So a money belt is really great. It literally, it typically goes on under your clothes. So it's very thin, and you just put your money in there. If you want to, your passport, you strap it to your waist, you put your shirt over it, and you're good to go. The second thing is I really like belt bags. I don't like them as much as crossbody because I like being able to put my hand on my crossbody in public. But belt bags, you could do something similar. And like I said, I'm not against backpacks. I just want you, if you choose to use them, especially like you Sean, you're going to be in Paris for a few days, and man, Paris is just one of those places. Pickpocketing is very rampant, and so especially and people stealing your phone too. So if you're going to use the metro, use the train. If you're going to be looking at the Eiffel Tower, Montmartre, you're going to be at the Louvre, you're going to be at Notre Dame. Just make sure you have it on your chest, the backpack, when you're walking through crowded areas. But the rest of the time, just throw it on your back.
The
It's
reason why I'm asking about backpacks is because I don't want to have anything bulky on me. I just want to be able
mhm,
to have something compact and easy to move around in.
yeah,
And I love bringing my backpack. Tasha would probably tell you she doesn't even understand why I like taking backpacks. But in instances like this, I want to be able to move around a lot freer. So
yeah,
that's why I was asking about a crossbody bag for men
yeah.
or
I mean, I see men wearing crossbody bags all the time. It's not a solely female bag. I don't know if it used to be. It certainly isn't anymore. A lot of European men wear them too. The other note about backpacks, and really any bag, is depending on how large they are, um, you have to store them in lockers for some major museums or palaces because backpacks are, people don't think about it and they walk by and they can hit a painting or they can knock something off a shelf. Or a table. And so the crossbody for both men and women, I think, are excellent.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's keep moving on. Some more safety tips. I always recommend that my travelers enroll in the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or we call it STEP, through the safety department, the State Department. I am going to have that in your itinerary, just a link that sends you over there. But that program, you fill in all the information, like where you're going, when you're going to be there. Um, and essentially, you're kind of registering with the US government that you're going to be somewhere. But the reason why that is really helpful is if there's anything that goes down, um, politically, weather, anything like that, you will actually get a notification from the US government, and they will say, here's what US citizens need to do, here's where the closest embassy is, all of that. Now, when we're together on that ship, we're going to be very well taken care of. I'm going to be aware of everything. Our cruise director certainly is, the captain even more so than all of us. But this is one of the best ways to be in touch with what is the best thing for U.S. citizens to do while abroad from the Department of State. So the Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or STEP, is a great thing to do. Again, I talked about taking screenshots of your important information. Just being able to access your emergency numbers, your insurance information quickly is smart. It's just smart. And again, that will all be in your itinerary, very easy, highlighted in yellow for you as well. But on a very less scary level, just stay hydrated. It can be the most beautiful day with no political unrest and no weather, and you could still have a bad day if you did not drink enough water. So we want to make sure that we are staying hydrated. Start hydrating before you even get on the plane. Being on the planes for those transatlantic flights can dehydrate you. So water, orange juice while you're flying is really, really good too. And then pay attention to your body. It communicates with us. It communicates if it needs to rest. You need to prop up your feet for a few hours. You need to maybe skip out on this one thing to be able to enjoy everything else even more, and not run yourself too thin. Take a nap. lay down. Most of you are taking advantage of the pre-cruise hotel stay in Budapest, and I love that. We have that for two reasons. One, of course, so you don't miss any of the cruise. If there are any travel woes with your flights or anything, you're not missing any of the cruise itinerary. Two, to combat jet lag. I know a lot of you really want to take advantage of being in Budapest. I don't blame you. I think that's great. But just keep in mind when you land, you're going to be very tired. You're going to be your body's going to be confused. And so taking advantage of those pre-nights is really, really smart to be able to rest and be your full self when the cruise begins. Last thing is always be able to locate your passport quickly. Don't put your passport in different places every time you pick it up and put it down. Have a place in your carry-on or in your personal item that your passport lives. That is its home. You're not throwing it in your suitcase when you get into a hotel room. You're not putting it in a different place so that you go, oh, where did I put that? So being able to locate it quickly, whether or not you keep it on you at all times. I like to keep my passport with me. I know that is like one of the biggest arguments that people in the travel industry have, whether or not you should keep it in the safe in the hotel room and on the ship or keep it with you at all times. I just like to have mine with me. I have been stopped before in Germany and asked for my last calendar year and asked to show it. We were actually crossing, we were in the Alsace area. So if you're familiar with that, it bounces from like France to Germany to France. It's like a very, to see the Alsace region, you're in Germany and France like 4 different times throughout the day. And at one of those technical border crossings, we had to show our passport to the German officers. And it was very, very nice. They were very sweet. But I was not expecting to do that. And so I was happy that I had my passport with me. All right, before we get to any cultural tips, I want to kind of, I'm going to close this for a second, come back. How are we all doing? Because I know some of this can be a little overwhelming. I'm going to take the temperature here and check the chat. Great. Good talking. Okay. All right, let's keep moving. We're doing great.
I have a question, Miss Lizzie.
Okay.
You were talking earlier about tipping, especially after meals, and what not to do, when and when not to do it.
Yes.
So, have you already spoken, and forgive me if you have, but have you already spoken about the what we can expect portion wise in Europe? I have heard for a long time that that Europeans coming to America are absolutely dumbstruck
With how much we tip.
not tipping. I'm talking about the amount of food that is delivered to us, and say,
Oh.
here's your portion.
Okay.
And some Europeans say, well, that's enough for an entire family back in the old country. Have you said anything about that? If so, forgive me a question.
No, I don't, that's my dad, everybody too. So that's why I'm going to talk to him this way. I don't know what you want me to say about portions. What do you, like, that we just eat more here?
Well, yes. And
Yeah.
the clientele who will be sharing this trip with each other,
You have a figure that you have to keep up.
I don't know of anyone who is skinny.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, I have found, so first of all, we're going in high tourism areas. And so I have not personally, I have never felt skimped on one time. So I have traveled to Europe 6 times since COVID, and there has not been one meal where I finished and thought, I really could have eaten more. Like that was not enough food and I paid a lot for it, or, anything like that. Um, as time has gone on, I do think that their portion sizes have gotten larger, especially in some of these high tourism areas. Um, while we're on board on the ship, it's certainly not an issue. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you feel like you need more, you just get more. You just get more. So
Excellent. Thank you, ma'am.
yeah, yeah. Their coffee sizes are the same as ours, of course. So I will say every now and again, I have gotten like a cappuccino that I wish was a little bigger. But as far as pastries or meals go, they're great. They're great. Yeah, interesting question, Dad. That's good. Speaking of differences in culture, I have a few things I just wanted to go over just as far as expectations go. Most of you might know this stuff already, but some of it might surprise you. So here we go. So number one, ice. Americans, we love our ice. We have ice in our refrigerators, and then we have ice machines because we like them to be different textures and different sizes. Ice is one of those privileges that we just take for granted here. It's not something that is typically available in Europe. It will be on the ship, so yay. If you want ice in something, you can ask for it. So they may not have it, but you can always ask if you have any ice. Smiling and saying hello goes a really long way. It's really considered rude to not say hello when you walk into a shop or sit down at a restaurant. If you sit down at a restaurant and you just go right into, well, this is what we'd like to eat without saying hello, it'll be really rude and offensive. So just smile and say hello. Restaurants are not going to rush you. It's very typical if you go out to eat to sit there for 2 to 3 hours, okay? So they're not going to come and check on you 4 times and say, how's everybody doing? How's it? If you need something, you just politely raise your hand and wave and smile. No snapping, just a little wave and smile, and they'll come over to you. Or you might say, excuse me, and they'll come over to you. That is how you'll also collect your check at the end of the meal. If you are eating out away from the group somewhere, just keep that in mind. You will need to ask for the check. It will not be brought to you without being prompted. Menus are generally posted outside of restaurants, and they typically have the local language and an English version either next to it or English right below each item. So you typically can look and see what you're getting into before you go and sit down. So that is really nice when you're traveling, because you're like, I don't know what they have in Slovakia. Like, I don't know. But you can look at the menu and you go, okay, yeah. They got some chicken, they got some flatbreads, or whatever it is, and then you feel a little more confident going in. And you have an idea of how much you're going to spend. When you do order water, you're going to be asked if you want still or sparkling. That's just across the board in Europe. That's just typically what they ask. So if you want bubbly water or if you want still water. If you say still, half the time it might come out of a tap, half of the time it might still come out of a bottle. So free water is not always guaranteed, even if you say still. So if you don't want to pay for water, and they say, you ask for water, sparkling or still, say, is the still in a bottle or is it from the tap? And if they say a bottle, you'll know that you're still going to be paying for your water either way. Side note, I love bringing a water bottle when I travel, filling it up on the ship. I don't like paying for water everywhere I go, so I just like being able to carry my own. If you feel like your server has abandoned you, I just talked about this, you want more water, you want dessert, you want the check, just catch their eye and wave and smile. Be kind of respectful of their customs, of their food, of their establishments. One thing that I hear sometimes is when I travel is people say, well, that's weird. And it's not weird, it's just new to you, or it's just different from how we do things. So just being careful not to call things weird when they're just not what you're used to. And then one last thing is just be mindful of your noise level. I am not one of those people that is like, I wish Americans would be quiet everywhere they went when they're in Europe. No, like you're excited, you're happy, you're with your friends, you're having a good time. That's perfectly acceptable. Just pay attention when you are. Where are you? Are you on public transportation when everyone else is silent? Are you getting a coffee where everyone else is silent? Honestly, I feel like where we walk in, people are going to look up and smile just because of the nature of how you all look. All of a sudden you're just getting your morning coffee or pastry and there's a bunch of Santas. I think that'll naturally cause some, you all know that's what you live with every day. But just being mindful of noise levels where we are, I think is just a general way of saying it. Okay. Any questions right now?
Yes, Lizzie. But I was still wondering if the that evening in Budapest with the 3-course meal excursion, have they said anything about that yet? So we can go ahead and book it, or are they still in the works and anything out?
It is not in the, well, it's ready for you to purchase now. It's included in your excursions menu. So if you log on to your Avalon and you go to excursions, it's right there, August 4th, pre-cruise. The dinner is there for you to purchase.
Okay. I hadn't checked in a while, so I was just asking to make sure.
That's fine. I haven't even booked my excursions yet, so you're fine.
Lizzie,
yes.
can I ask a quick question? The water, if it is tap water, is it generally safe, or should we stick to bottled water or water we bring from the ship?
It is generally safe. Yes. Yeah. I have not personally ever had a client or heard of a European traveler who are, unless you're going further east, who has a hard time with the water. If you're concerned about that, then just stick with bottled. But the water on the ship is also safe, especially to brush your teeth, that kind of thing. In Budapest and Prague, brushing your teeth, that kind of thing, absolutely fine. Before we get into any more questions, I just really quick wanted to show you that we do have 2 more webinars. One on June 18th, the big one. Everyone's really excited about this one. This is the packing one. We're going to talk about the packing list. We're going to talk about capsule wardrobes, what to bring, what to leave home. That is, the whole webinar is about packing, and that's going to be June 18th at 6 p.m. Central Time. And then in July, we're going to go back to the daytime webinars. July 16th, we're going to have a bon voyage and final questions. At that point, we should all be good to go, but I just want to collect everyone one more time to see if there's anything else we need to go over. That day, I also will be going over what to expect when you land in Budapest, what to look for at the airport, that kind of thing, so that you feel prepared. 2 important dates to please be aware of. The first, June 30th, is my deadline that I'm giving everyone. That is the final day to ask for any additional planning. And what I mean by that is, outside of our cruise, if you are going to any other European city, you have another trip, you're doing something after the cruise, I've got people who are doing Switzerland and Amsterdam and Paris and London. June 30th is going to be the cutoff if you want any help from me for those additional experiences. That's the last day that we can really talk about it, because then it's getting just too close, and I want to make sure tickets to the Louvre, tickets to Westminster Abbey, tickets to major attractions. We need to be looking at that before that date. And then the last date I want everyone to know is I leave for London on July 29th. I'm going to be in London for 5 nights with my family before we hop over to Budapest. That's a week before we leave. That's the week before we get on the ship. So if you call me 5 days before we get on the ship and it's 6 o'clock at night local time, I'm already in Europe. And so I'm not going to be answering the phone because I will be asleep. It'll be 3 a.m. where I am. So just know that I get on a plane on July 29th. So if we have any last minute questions, we should cover everything on that July 16th webinar. But just be mindful that I will be out of the country that date. Now, I'm not saying that you can't ask me any questions, and I'm going to be watching flights. I'm going to be helping if we have any last minute emergencies or cancellations or flight delays. But what I am saying is my accessibility is going to be different because I'm going to be on London time already, starting 1 week before we get on the cruise. Okay? All right, so now we'll do questions.
All
Y'all
right,
got
I
some
have
good
one.
ones. What can I do?
I know that me and Tasha are going to be going to Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Is it best for us as far as when we land to book transportation or take a taxi, or what is the best recommendation for us to get to where we're going to be lodged at?
Yeah, for Paris, there's a few different options. I'd like to know more about what area of the city that you're in and how close you are to a metro station. For Paris, if you do take a taxi, I'd like to talk to you about the best app for that because taxis are notorious for charging Americans more and people pocketing the difference. So I just want to, I'm happy to talk more with you and Natasha about that in the next coming week or two. Would that help?
Yes.
Good. Oh, I wish I was going to Paris this year. I love Paris. What else?
Questions? Visa information, since we're going to be going through several countries, have you got a company that can handle all of that stuff for us?
So you don't need a visa. All that you will need is your valid passport that does not expire at least 90 days before you fly home. And I've got everyone's passport information. Everyone is good to go with that. There is a lot of information out there right now about the word that uses the word visa, that you need a visa now to go to Italy. You need a visa to go to London, things like that. They also have been talking about it's called the ETIAS. That is launching later this calendar year, but it does not affect any of us. So we do not have to pay a travel tax, essentially, to fly into Europe. That's the first thing. The second thing, there is a new entry system. It's called the EES. And you may have seen some stuff on the news about people in line for 100 hours or, whatever it is. So a few things with that. The first is that rolled out in April. And when it rolled out in April, because we know how the government is, it was a mess. And so depending on where you fly into, some airports handled it really well, some did not, some it's a lot better, some are still catching up. Lisbon, Portugal, for example, is one of the worst ones. Rome is really bad. It also depends on what time you land. So here's what I'm trying to say. Let's start with just Budapest. Let's say you are supposed to fly into Budapest on August the 3rd or August the 4th. Yes, you may have a longer wait to get through customs and immigration because of the new system. The new system is that before you get on the plane, they take your picture and they take a thumbprint and they look at your passport. And so when you arrive, all of that is digitally done now. So when you arrive, you go up to a kiosk, they scan your face, you put in your passport, and you put in your fingerprint. We're not in a day and age anymore, unfortunately, where you go up and there's a little man behind a counter and he says business or pleasure and he stamps your passport and you go. Unfortunately, you're not going to get a stamp, which I know is really sad. I know. So, but that's why it's taking so long, is because computers are not always fun. So, in Budapest, I've been tracking this. Some people are waiting an hour, hour and a half. Some people are getting through in 20 minutes. And it kind of depends on the time you land. If you're in an earlier flight and you land before 9 a.m., typically you're seeing shorter waits. We have not entered the summer yet, so we'll see how it goes. But for people who are pre-cruise, I have a few people who are going into different European airports. I have someone flying in, one couple into Munich. Munich has been chef's kiss. They've handled it well. We love the Germans know efficiency, don't they? So people are landing in Germany. Munich's been really good. Frankfurt's been good. And people are going through in less than an hour. Paris has been hit or miss, but not as bad as Rome. Rome has been the worst. So all that to say, the EES is real. It is happening. It is causing longer waits for people arriving into Europe. But I'm not concerned about that with this group. You are not going to be I do not anticipate anyone waiting in line for 5 hours to get into Europe. So that's the second point. The third point that you asked about, Santa Mike, was the traveling between the different countries, because we are going to be in Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, and Germany just while we're on the Danube. The European Union, after World War II, created something called the Schengen area. And essentially, once you land in one of these countries, you are free to move around. And when you cross borders, you do not have to go through customs and immigration for each separate country. So when we're going to wake up one morning and we are going to be in a new country, and we are not going to have to show a passport or anything else, because we have landed in the European Union, inside of the Schengen area. We are in their system. And it is very similar to landing in the United States, going through customs and immigration, and driving from Nashville to the beach in Florida. You don't have to show anything else. Does that make sense?
Okay, that's fine. But what happens when I go into London?
England. Mm-hmm. All right. So the Brits left the EU, something called Brexit. And so now what that means for you is you are going to have to purchase their visitor tax called the ETA. And I have a link to send that to you. I'm going to ask you not to Google, because the first thing that typically pops up is a scam. And so the ETA is about £12, and you apply for that before you depart home. They're going to make sure you have that before you get on the plane there in Prague. And then when you land in London, you will have to go through customs and immigration again, because you are no longer in the EU. You are now in the land of Britain.
So I don't need to worry about anything as far as when I land in Prague, visas or anything else. I just take my passport and say, here I am.
Yes, you only need a visa if you are going to be in any of these countries longer than 90 days.
Okay. All right. You hit that one. Medical insurance. Are we covered under medical insurance on that plan that we signed up for with you?
Yes. So your insurance through Avalon Waterways has travel, medical, emergency. You should have your policy information in there that when I sent you the initial proposal. I'm happy to send that out again. My list keeps growing here. All right, so I want to do the policy info. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But essentially, it's for through Allianz Insurance. That's who Avalon uses.
Okay. Santa store, what's the name of that, or that Christmas store that you're going to take us to? What's the name of that?
Oh, what is the name of that? Hold on.
Is that
I have it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. Monarchia.
okay?
The Monarchia Royal Luxury Christmas
All right, got it.
What city is that in, honey?
Budapest.
It's in
Thank you.
Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that tells me we're talking to the correct people. Eileen was chatting with some people about having a water cruise on the Danube while we are there in Budapest. What nights are we blocked out with? You've already got something planned there on the ship for us. And do you have access for us to do a water cruise on the Danube there in Budapest?
Yeah, we could.
Because I know from what Eileen has said, there have been several other people that have already said that they were interested in something like that.
Yeah, because it's so pretty at night.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the sun is going to set a little after 8 p.m. while we're there. So if you're wanting to do a sunset cruise, well, let me back up. August the 4th is the Parliament tour and the dinner. And so if you're doing that, then you probably won't do the evening sailing that night. August the 5th, we do not have any official programming in the evening aside from dinner. Dinner on board, if you choose to eat in the dining room, which it's the first night, so you probably want to, that's going to be about 7:30 at night. Okay.
That was going to be a next question that we had for you, is what time are you going to have dinners and stuff like that so we can schedule our other stuff around it?
Yeah. So dinner is going to be about 7. And so you could after dinner, it would be late. But you could do like a 9 or 9:30 evening cruise. Because what I'm assuming is that you want to see all of its grandeur and lit up at night. So you could do that on the evening of the 5th. I don't necessarily recommend skipping the first night's dinner because that's when you meet your wait staff. I mean, the wait staff changes because it's open seating, but in general, wait staff, first night, that's when the crew is excited and they might have some announcements. I will say there is a cocktail hour. It's a cocktail and an information hour before dinner every night. And that's at 5:45, 6 o'clock. And that's when we have complimentary drinks. The cruise director speaks, and the captain comes in and speaks once or twice. And they talk about what the next day is going to look like. If it's raining, he'll say, make sure you bring an umbrella, things like that, so that you have an idea of what the next day looks like. And then we all go down into the dining room for dinner at 7. So I recommend being at that cocktail hour every night if you can, so that you know what's going on the next day. As far as dinner, If you want to do your own thing, you certainly can. You're an adult. You go off the ship, go eat somewhere else, do your own thing. But that first full night on the 5th might be the best evening. I'm processing out loud. Sorry, folks. Might be the best evening for that cruise, unless you want to do it on the 4th after the dinner if you are participating in the dinner. Clear as mud?
Are we still going to be there? Are we still going to be there on the 6th?
We sail away from Budapest on the 6th. I'm not exactly sure what time. I want to say it is during dinner or right after, though. So I don't want anyone off the ship at like 8 o'clock at night. I don't want anyone planning on being off the ship at that evening.
Lizzie, do you think that by the time we leave Budapest, we'll be cruising on the Danube? Will we be able to see the city lights then?
Yeah, and I wish I knew exactly where we're going to be docked. It changes, right? There's multiple places throughout the city. But I do know that when we are sailing away from Budapest, because we're going westbound, we will pass Parliament. We might be down in the dining room, and we pass it, and everyone goes to the window and looks. But yes, we will. I mean, again, you're an adult, so if you're like, I'm gonna go out on the sky deck while I wait for my dinner to be made and brought to the table, do it. Go outside and look. Take your pictures. You don't have to stay. Just make sure you're on the ship. Yes, Dale, you have a question.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have like three.
It's okay. It's okay.
First, there was an earlier question about, do you recommend making a copy of your passport to leave in the hotel or boat? And I just thought I'd go ahead and call that to your attention. But then I have two other questions.
You certainly can. I do think having a paper copy of your insurance information and your passport is wise. You can keep it on you, or you can keep the copy in the room if you're going to have it with you. I also have a copy. You sent it all to me. And you all have photocopies with me as well. So I will say, have I ever had anyone lose a passport? Yes. Was it the end of the world? No. But it was not fun. It was not the day that they had planned. But you're not going to be stranded anywhere. Yes, having a copy of your passport is wise. I have one. If you want to print a copy out and keep it with you as well, it's not a bad idea.
I have a copy on my phone too, of pictures that I've taken of both of our passports.
There you go.
So my
Is your
two
phone
questions,
locked?
requires a passcode, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good.
So you sent us a tour link for different things in Budapest, which was wonderful. Of course, there's millions of things to do, so that was kind of cool. Do you have one of those also for Prague?
Yep, so you can use the same link and just put the city of Prague in there.
Okay.
I actually did not go through and hand select those. It was queried on what Viator sells the most of and recommends, so it'll be the same thing if you put in Prague.
Okay, thank you. And then what time do the morning tours typically start off of the boat?
Yeah, we're looking at being in the lobby or the atrium about 9 a.m.
Okay.
Which is nice because it's going to be hot. So being able to come back to the ship either for lunch or having the option to stay out into the cities and explore on your own if you want to. So it can feel like an early start, but it's worth it.
Thanks.
Yeah. Dave and Karen.
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to circle back. The last time we were in the Schengen area, we had to do the ETIAS system. Is that still in process? No, that is not in process. Okay,
No,
good.
they keep pushing it back. I do think it's for real this time, but they haven't even given us an official date. They've told us it's going to be the last quarter of this calendar year. I don't know if that's going to be November or what, but there is no additional paperwork or form or tax that you need to pay or complete before entering in the Schengen area into the EU, your valid passport is all you need. Now, I don't think that's going to change. Of course, if that changes, I will, that will be a fun day for me because you're not my only travelers. but but
Yeah.
I'll make sure everyone knows that right away. But I'm thinking it's going to be November of this year.
Okay. And then the other question I've seen, we have never had one, but I'm seeing a lot of things on people having VPNs. When you're talking about safety and stuff, and I didn't know if you've had a lot of travelers who've had that, and if you have any that any that you recommend, or just
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I have not personally used one. I think that is a great idea. Typically, I don't talk about that with my travelers because a lot of them they don't travel enough for it to be. Sometimes it's just another thing on the list. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying not
yeah,
to
I do.
completely overwhelm. VPN. So what she's talking about, if you don't know, VPN is something that you can subscribe to that essentially keeps your phone from your data location being on, essentially. So if you land in Budapest, your phone doesn't know where you are, and that means that you can access, like Netflix, for example. You might not be able to watch your show that you had in America because it's not available in Hungary, that kind of thing. It also can be a safety net. It's harder for people to hack into your phone when you have a VPN. I don't have one that I use, but I have. Let me ask some of my friends who travel a lot, some of my colleagues, if they have one that they recommend that you can look into.
Okay, yeah, we've traveled several times internationally too, and we haven't had one. I'm just seeing a lot of it now, and I'm like, maybe we should. So I just thought I'd ask you. So
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think that it's not a bad idea at all. It's not necessary, but it is also if whenever we use our phones,
we're at risk. Yeah.
whoever they are, right?
Yeah.
The companies, the government, they know where we are, they know what we're doing, they know what we're looking at, they know what we're downloading, they know what we're buying. And when you use a VPN, it blocks all of that. And
Yeah.
so it's one of those things that for me, I haven't needed it when I travel, but I also see the value of it for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Dad, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem whatsoever. No problem whatsoever. I have, with all of your traveling, I don't think I've ever asked you this question, so I'll ask it now. And for those of us who we haven't met yet, you'll get a flavor of anyway where I'm coming from. So I will ask you to answer, please, a very Southern Baptist question. Will we be able to have iced tea?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Do we get to have hot tea that we can put ice in?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
No, you will. So in the dining room, they'll have Coke products and they will have tea. It will not be sweet.
Oh,
So
that's okay.
that's okay. But yes, they do have iced tea, but not the kind that you're used to, not that you're
Okay.
accustomed to.
So
But they
maybe
will
one
have
of
Coke, they'll have Sprite, they have a beer. They usually have a few local beers that are there on draft, and plenty of wines to choose from as well. They typically offer a red and a white that is close to the region. So some of them sometimes are even vineyards that we pass while we sail. So it's really special.
talking about that. You're talking about on the cruise ship, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Will there be maybe like little packets of lemon juice and artificial sweeteners, or is that a supply chain that we need to make sure we bring with us?
Um, there will be real lemons and there will be sugar, but not any lemon juice. There's also a 24-hour water station and it's a water station that's very, very cold water. It's wonderful. And you can add cucumber, lemon, lime. It's very refreshing. It's available to you. It's in the back smaller lounge all the time. And there's also an espresso machine and hot chocolate that's available 24/7. And there are snacks that they have out, cookies and trail mix and different things like that if you need something to hold over. Keep in mind, Avalon as well is known for offering a continental room service, which is not something that all of them do. All the river cruise lines do, so that's very nice. So you can order coffee or tea to be brought to you in the morning as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, Meg?
Just wondering, do you think they'll have any NA type of beers available?
Oh, yes. Actually, that is something that is become more and more common in our industry is non-alcoholic offerings. So I mentioned earlier that there's a cocktail hour every night. There's going to be mocktails as well. And there should be one, I think at least two non-alcoholic beers as well. But that is definitely becoming more and more common. Good question.
Lizzie, this may be stupid. You mentioned watching Netflix and things on your phone, but are there TVs with movies or other things in the rooms?
Yep. hmm
Okay.
There is in-room entertainment. It's not as going to be as extensive as like when you go to a Marriott and they have the smart TV and you can put on all of your streaming services. But they do have entertainment in the room with televisions. I watched Downton Abbey on a cruise once. It was the
Ooh.
best.
Lizzie, I've got a question,
Yes, ma'am.
and I put it in the chat. So, my husband's a diabetic, and if his blood sugar drops, he needs to eat.
hmm
He's concerned about, I think the Sound of Music and Silent Night tour is going to be about 10 hours.
hmm
Are we going to be stopping for meals
Yeah,
or
it's a good
ideas?
question. So, we are going to be stopping in Salzburg, and
Okay.
and on the way, the majority of the time is going to be in Salzburg, and then on the way back, we're detouring to Obendorf for the
hmm
Silent Night Chapel. So we are going to have lunch in Salzburg.
Okay.
But listen, I had gestational diabetes with our firstborn, and
hmm
ever since then, I don't have anything diagnosed, but I definitely, when I travel, I bring snacks with me so I
Yeah.
don't feel myself drop. So I always recommend having whether it's juice or anything that we need to grab from the ship. If there is anything that we need, if we need to request some sandwiches be packed, anything like that. No, we're not going to go crazy, everybody. But
Right.
if it's something that we really need, we can request that as well. No problem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. These are good questions. All right, Meg, yes.
I know you said something about distilled water for CPAPs on the ship. What about the hotels?
I did specifically ask about the hotels as well, and I was told that that was not offered. And so I'm working on a solution, even if that solution is just me giving you the best local pharmacy. Um, I've heard, I do not personally use a CPAP. So I have heard people say that when they have traveled, if they need to, they can use tap water. I don't know if that is medically a horrible decision or if it's okay if you just need to do it for 1 or 2 nights. The water is clean enough to do that. It's certainly available, but if that is a problem, we'll talk about that if we need to. So what do you think
You
about
can also use just like regular bottled water
bottled
as
water?
well. Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's not a big deal for a few nights.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Definitely on the ship, though, everyone will have it. Will milk be available? Yes, it will. White and chocolate, if you'd like it. Do they have caffeine-free Diet Coke? Yes, they do. Did I miss? I don't think I missed any other in the chat. Oh, yay, fireworks.
Lizzie, I'm not sure you know the significance, but you got fireworks
I
from
did.
Dale Demas just now. That's just about his highest online compliment that he can pay.
I'll also tell you guys, there's going to be a mini fridge in each of your rooms. So if you're out and you want to buy a few things and just have it in your room, I mean you can keep it cold in your room as well. You'll have a little. I don't actually I don't know. I'm trying to remember. They every day they have a water. They bring you fresh water and two clean glasses, and so you'll have water in your room as well. Um, if you are like me and you try to go to a bakery every single day, then you're in Europe. Then you can keep it or anything in your room. Um, no microwaves though. I know. Deal
Okay, just
breaker.
to
I'm
be
not going.
cancel my trip. And just to be clear, the fireworks were not intentional, but it
Oh
is
no.
a feature. It is a feature on the Mac. Two thumbs up then translates to fireworks if you have a
Oh,
Mac.
That's them right there.
there we go. Yay. I
There you
love
go.
it. I love it. Um, have I missed any questions? Going through the chat. We're on an hour and a half, so I've taken up a lot of your time. I appreciate it. I hope this was helpful. It has been recorded. I will upload it to YouTube like I did the last one, and so you can go through again. I went through the money and technology stuff kind of quickly. I did say I was going to show you how to do the low battery mode on your phone. I love this feature, you guys. When I travel, it really, really helps. So I'm an iPhone user. So if you're Android or something else, I'm not gonna be able to help. But I know that this feature exists for you too. But for
Liz,
iPhone,
Liz, Lizzie, can you spotlight yourself? That'll make you be the full picture. Or people can do it in Zoom. If you click on the dots and say pin, it'll make your picture larger.
yeah. So I did. Let's see.
I think you can spotlight yourself as host or speaker mode maybe. But we can do it too by just pinning your frame.
Mm, I don't see Spotlight.
Then each of us can do it. If they hover over your picture, you'll get the three dots and then click on it and select pin. That just makes your picture bigger for everybody so we can see your phone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's smart. Okay. Well, I'll have to figure that out for next time. All right. So when you are in, so you've got your home screen, and then you're going to want to go to settings. And then, of course, settings, we've got airplane mode and different things about your phone, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular. You're just going to go to battery. And then you'll scroll down to battery percentage, and you'll toggle that from green to off. And then the other thing you can do is power mode here. Tap on that, and low power mode, you toggle that on. So that's how you do low power. And actually, if you go back to where you did battery percentage, you might want to turn that back on because that shows you how much life you have left. So we'll go back to, again, settings, battery. It's hard to do when you're on your battery. Keep percentage. Keep your battery percentage green. I had that wrong. But then you go to power mode. and you turn on the low power mode. And I know it's mirrored, so it's hard to read, but I'll also include some screenshots. But like I said, I use that every time I travel, and it really, really helps.
It was clear to us, Liz.
Oh, good.
So it wasn't mirrored to us. We could
Oh,
see it
good.
cleanly.
Thank you. Feels like my tech assistant this call. Okay, and then this is the charger. This is the USB-C charger for my cell phone. It actually also works on my Mac computer. If you have a lightning cord, which is the older version, it's a little bit smaller and it's kind of like white on the top with some lines down it. That will not work on an airplane. You won't be able to plug it in on an airplane. So that's what I was saying. If you're worried about any of it, the easiest thing to do is just purchase a portable charger and carry it with you. You know, while we're out and about, carry that with you.
And Lizzie, they do make USB-C to Lightning cables.
Converters.
Yeah, it's just a cable. One end's USB-C, one end's the Lightning connector. And depending on the power charger that you have, you may already have one. If you the plug that you in the wall, you may already have one.
That's actually what I just linked right in the chat just now, Dale. It's the Amazon link for the one that I use. I really, really like this one. It charges right into the wall, and it's got the multiple, whether you have an iPhone, a newer iPhone, an older iPhone, an Android. It also charges a Kindle, and you can use it for all of that stuff. And it holds, I think, 6 hours of battery life. So it's really great if you need that extra juice when you're traveling, and easy to charge.
Lizzie,
Yes.
talking about cell phones and charging, I have heard that one of the newest scams in the airport is in public areas. If you plug your phone in, you can get hacked that way. I think they call it juice jacking.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, there's some sort of way they can get into the public phone charging stations and steal your data that way.
Oh, well, it hasn't personally happened to
Yeah.
me. Well, at least I don't think it has. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are charging stations at the airports.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have charging tables, that kind of thing. Sometimes each individual seat in between, they have plugs, that kind of thing. Just something to be aware of. If it seems wonky, just move to another one.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, where someone could steal your data if you were plugged into the outlet.
Miss Lizzie?
Yeah.
One of the ways that's I think I've heard it called juice jacking as well. And one of the ways to avoid that is if you have to charge your phone in an airport, and that's the most common place I've heard of them, airport or a bus station or out in public. Okay. One of the ways to avoid that is to get one of these battery packs that Lizzie's talking about.
Yeah.
And instead of charging your phone directly, charge the battery pack instead.
Yeah, you should be able to charge your external battery on its own, then later charge the phone from the pack. It's great. It's great.
And most of us are traveling as couples. If you have if each person has their own battery pack, then you really doubled up as far as backup is concerned. Is that the correct technical term, Dale? Backup, yeah. Okay, that we can back up the backup like thing.
Yeah, belt and suspenders, Stephen.
Oh, you too, huh?
Lizzie.
Yes.
What do they have available there in the on the boat? Do they have USBs? Like when I go into a Marriott, I've got USB connections all over, plus my AC. Do they have that there on the boat?
Yeah, they do. They have both the older USB and the newer. And then the outlet itself is a European outlet. So of course we have the converter that you will need as well. Um, I have one on my packing list if you need one. And they have two areas on the side of the bed. There's one side that has a table with a lamp that has a USB and a charge and an outlet, and then they have a desk that has USB and an outlet over there as well.
Are they USB-A or USB-C?
That's a good question.
Lizzie, I've got to go. I'm actually on the road right now. Is there anything else we need to cover? Hi, Greg.
Um, they are USB A.
Hey, Sean.
Sean, yeah, let's connect because there's a few things that I need still from you guys as far as personal details. But as far as today, I think we're good for today. Y'all have a great Memorial Day, and we'll connect afterwards, okay?
All right. I'll see you
Be
everybody
safe.
later. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Sean. Thanks, Natasha. Any other questions? We're pushing
Lizzie,
an hour and 40.
on
Yeah.
the juice jacking, I just looked it up. I just Googled it. And iPhones now, they say, won't allow a data transfer unless you specifically allow it to unlock. You have to tap trust or allow.
Oh,
So that's an iPhone. I don't know about Androids. And it gives you more information, but if you just Google juice jacking, it comes up.
okay. Thank you for that.
I have one question. Wasn't able to open the file you sent where you said you had a preferred European plug. Wouldn't mind getting that sent to me.
Oh, sure. That is on the packing list. Do you have the packing list?
I do not. I wasn't able to transfer that where I could open it.
Okay, I'll send that to you again.
Thank you. And I take it since there's two outlets, we'd be better off having two plug converters.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it's wise to have one per person.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Oh, good questions. This is awesome. All right, my friends. Well, 2 out of 4 down of our webinars. It's getting closer every day. I am so excited. This is going to be truly just such a special trip. As always, reach out to me if you have any specific questions to your specific needs. I have everybody's information, but if at any point you still have not given me, if you're celebrating anything, if you have any dietary or medical needs that I need to know about to communicate to the ship, I should have everybody's information about their CPAPs. It's all looking really good. The excursions, of course, we had a lot of fun a few weeks ago about excursions. If you have any additional questions about any of those, reach out and utilize the Facebook group too. That's a good way to get information. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I hope everyone is feeling good. And I'll see you, if we don't talk before then, I'll see you on June 18th. Bye, everybody.